Okay, next step is the waistband. So, if you look at your directions, it tells you to baste about 3 inches of the seam allowances to the garment at the waist edge. This will keep the elastic from getting caught under them when you pull it through. Highly recommend. Do not skip this step. Here, I already did it. This is what you would do. Sorry, I went ahead. But basically what you would do is from the top, you're going to sew down, open up your seams, and then sew them down about 3 inches. So what I did was I took a ruler at the top, I measured down 3 inches, and I put a pin there. And then I went in my machine and sewed down all the seams. Now remember, there's 4 of them. You have this one, 1, 2, 3, and then one over here, 4. So I did all that, so 8 times basically, because there's 2 on each of the 4. So after you sew those down, next step is to, from the top, it tells you, to measure 1.5 inches from the upper edge. This will mark the fold line for the casing and will serve as a guide for pressing. So I kind of did a little different. What I did was I measured from the top down 1.5 inches, like it said, 1.5 inches, and I used chalk, fabric chalk, and I drew all the way around the waistband. Okay, so can you see that? Let me get closer there. So 1.5 inches down from the top, I used a chalk pencil, and I drew all the way around. Then I take the very top, because then the next direction says to fold and sew down about 1/4 inch. So see, that's about 1/4 inch. And I folded it and pinned it all the way around. Depending on your fabric, depending on how you want to do it, maybe you don't want to pin, maybe you just want to iron it down. But my fabric's really, really soft. So I thought I better pin it, okay? My next step will be to sew this. So I'm going to go in my machine and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch right at pretty close, probably right where my pin is. That's where I'm going to sew all the way around the whole entire waistband. When that's done, I take this and now I'm going to use my guideline and I'm going to fold it on my guideline like this. Notice I'm working on the inside of my fabric, okay, because this is the waistband. I'm going to fold this all the way around. Then I'm going to go back in and sew on that exact same line that I already sewed on. And that's going to make my waistband.
Should I pin that?
Sure, you could pin that. Pin that and then sew around, all the way around. One thing you want to make sure to do is in one of these seams, you're going to leave an opening because remember what's going in here. So after I have sewed around, I'm going to take my elastic, I'm going to scoochie it up, and I'm going to scoochie it around the whole entire thing and make a waistband. So again, real quick, I know it's a lot of instruction. Going down 3 inches on each seam. Then I'm measuring down 1.5 inches. And I'm drawing my line around for a guideline. Then I'm going down 1/4 inch, folding, pinning, sewing, folding it on the blue line, going back in my machine, pinning this down, sewing all the way around, leaving an opening so that my elastic will fit. You might want to double check to make sure you're doing that correctly, that my elastic will indeed fit. If you don't do it correctly, guess what will happen? Your elastic won't go through your waistband, and that's a big problem. The end.